Hello, my name is Crystal Petry, and you are watching the Crystal Petry Consulting Network. Welcome to my newest episode of 60 Minutes With. On this episode, we're going to learn and we're going to listen from my guest, Roxanne, about her greatest successes and what she learned from that, and her greatest failures and what she learned from that. So welcome to the show, Roxanne.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
How are you?
I'm doing well. It's
How's
so good
Roxanne
to see you.
doing these days?
Well, it's a new adventure in life.
Yes.
And so some days are fabulous
Mhm.
and some days are a little tougher, and you just have to figure out how to dust the dust off and just keep going.
And keep going. Is there another option?
Nope.
I don't think there is. Okay, so let's kind of get into it. We were talking a little bit about just kind of your family and everything before we started rolling. So just let's dive into that. Tell me about your childhood. How was your upbringing?
Well, so my parents were immigrants.
Mhm.
I was born down in South Texas, Raymondville, Texas, a small dot of a town.
Okay.
And by the border area. And I was a migrant worker. And we forced our parents to let us experience that because my family, my grandfather and aunts and uncles would always go in the summertime up to Minnesota. And
Okay.
so we're like, we want to go. We had no idea what we were signing up for.
Right.
And they realized that very quickly. And they made sure to accompany us. And, you know, we did that several summers. And that's where I knew that I had to change my future.
Okay.
It gave me a lot of time to think and a lot of time to plan. I knew that I needed to have that little piece of paper that was going to change my life.
Oh,
And
amazing.
so, you know, I'm also an anticipator, so I think that fell right in line with what was in my future.
So by anticipator, what do you mean by that?
I always think ahead.
Oh, okay.
I try to be 2, 10, 15, 20,000 steps ahead
Okay.
in life. And, you know, this is one thing that really threw me out for a loop, being here today as the Jefferson County Clerk,
Right.
because this is not something that Jesus and I agreed on when I was working in the fields at 16 years old. This
Yes.
is not what I envisioned. I started my career in healthcare administration,
Mm-hmm.
went to San Marcos, and actually finished my degree. So even though
Very
it's known
good.
for a party school, I finished. So did accomplish that, and then started my master's in business.
Okay.
I was in the healthcare industry, very competitive, male dominated. Nothing against the males. I think they're fabulous
Right.
and have a role. But I wanted to leave a mark.
Mhm.
And I needed my master's degree to be able to take the next steps. When I did that, being bilingual, a lot of doors opened up for me.
Okay.
And I just started, you know, life's a chess game.
It is.
It's a chess game.
Mm-hmm.
And so you pick your next move and go about, and here we are.
Excellent. Now, you talked about your parents being immigrants. What do you think is your biggest takeaway? I mean, I know it's a $1,000 question, but what can you say is your biggest takeaway from your parents and their journey?
Many people do not understand the meaning of that because we're several generations into a Texan, American, whatever we are. I was around the border.
Okay.
I was feet away
Wow.
from having a very different life. So I find a lot of honor and just privilege to have been on this side of the border.
Mm-hmm.
It certainly opened a lot of doors, and my parents knew that. And that's why they did what they needed to do at that point in their life, looking for opportunity. And we do have a lot of people looking for that. There's a legal way and an illegal way, and that's what we're fighting these days.
Right.
There's, you know, because I'm from South Texas, I know a lot of the particulars that are happening down there, and some people want to touch on that, some don't, and, you know, that's your choice. But reality is that you're not going to open the doors to your home to just everybody and anyone
Mm-hmm.
and sustain them for whatever period of time. So that's getting into a whole other realm of conversation, but I believe in, you know, come on in.
Yeah.
Come on in, do it the right way.
Okay.
My husband and I have been fortunate prior to me taking this office in helping several family members, you know, gain all of their documents and be able to get their visas to come
Very
over
good.
and, you know, enjoy the freedoms of America. So,
Very good. And of Texas.
out there.
And of Texas.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do you feel like having parents as immigrants has shaped you, like today?
Well, very traditional.
Okay. You or your parents, or
my
both?
parents,
Okay.
and myself. I finished my master's degree, and I was in Houston running a hospital there, and we learned that we were pregnant with our first child, and the best option at that point was to raise that child myself. And so we decided to do that, and I came home, and my husband had started his commercial asset recovery company at that time in 2001. And so I came home and raised our daughter. I love to make money.
We all do.
I evaluated the company and the operations of it, and I said, I think I can do this nationwide. And so we started doing that. So
Okay.
we're just hardworking, going back to the question about immigrants, just hardworking and just following through on things. And once you're committed to something, you're going to follow through and take advantage of the opportunities that you have.
Absolutely. Now, you touched on briefly that you were a migrant worker. Can you explain exactly what that is?
So individuals that right after school in May typically pack up and leave to northern states where they grow a lot of your food. So we worked in the sugar beet farms and the edamame.
Okay.
So we worked in all that. And so every day, my grandfather was a stickler, and he was an immigrant as well, hard working. He would not let us off those fields unless the lightning was striking our heels.
Wow.
So he was pretty hardcore. And so we would get up early in the morning and work all day, and for 3 months at a time.
Okay.
That was our life. And then you gather, make quick money from that, a lot quicker than you would anywhere else. And then my family would use that to sustain and grow and get into other ventures.
And how old were you, or is there an age? How old were you when you started becoming a migrant worker?
I'm trying to remember. I think I was a freshman. Freshman.
High school?
I
Okay.
think so.
And when did you stop? Like senior year, I guess? Or no?
Right before college. Yeah, I guess it was around my senior year, something like that. That I can recall now. I haven't gone into the details of my parents. I don't remember all that.
Okay.
Our life is in segments sometimes, and you just kind of go about.
Yes.
But we did it for a few years, and I'm telling you, it was the best time. I was able to think and plan for the future, and just, I saw what my grandfather did all of his life. Saw what my father did, and siblings, and I just knew where I wanted to be.
Good. And where you didn't want to be. Yes. So can you tell us, there's a lot of misconceptions, and this is a two-part question. There's a lot of misconceptions about immigrants and migrants. Can you clear up maybe one or two misconceptions about each one, about the migrants and about immigrants?
Misconceptions. The immigrants, I would say, we have an obvious issue at the border. It's not all Hispanics that are coming through.
Absolutely.
People think it's all these Hispanic people.
It is not.
It isn't. And because I still have family in the area, I know who's coming through. So people can say whatever. I know different directly. Migrants, individuals that sit here and spend their, summers. Some people do it full time, year round, and just go around to different parts of the country based on the needs and provide your food.
Yeah.
They provide your food. And immigrants are coming here for the opportunity of tomorrow.
Right.
And so they're, looking for the jobs that many people don't want to do. And they're pretty good at it because they're grateful for the opportunities.
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely. Do you feel like you have to speak up for immigrants, for migrants? Like, do you have to, for lack of a better word, carry that cross for an entire culture?
I have the privilege of being a representative of my culture.
Okay.
I have the privilege of that. I will carry those that are going to hold themselves up and want to be carried. I believe
Very good.
I believe in meeting individuals where they meet me. And, I've spent a lot of my life helping and giving and doing, and I would not discredit any of that. But in it, I learned that some want to be helped and some don't.
Okay.
And that's okay.
Right. And I think that's more than just, the migrant community or the immigrant. Like, that's
Applicable
people
everywhere.
in general. Some want to be helped and some don't. And it is okay. It is okay.
You get that little 1-star fish, right? The little,
Right.
yeah. Save it.
So you touched on it a little bit earlier in the conversation that you have your bachelor's in healthcare administration. So why did you select that degree?
I was at a magnet medical school in Mercedes, Texas, and I was going to medical school. And in the process of finishing my senior year, I did an internship with a physician, and very good human being. And he took it upon himself to be my mentor through that period of time. And in that time, he said, "You're not going to be a doctor." I'm like, "What do you mean I'm not going to be a doctor? You can't sit here and kill my dream."
Right.
And he said, "Oh, yes, I can, because you have this illusion of what that life is going to be like, and the reality is very different." And so he opened my eyes and said, "Your heart's too big, and you're going to basically, it's going to be a disaster for you. So use your skills and place them somewhere else." He goes, "Go into administration and, something of that sort." And I'm like, "What the heck is that?" And so I started researching and digging, and before the internet was everywhere, and started, looking into that. And I was like, "Oh yeah, I can do this." And weirdly, my grandfather was an amazing businessman.
Wow.
He was a great real estate investor and would buy all these things. And at the time of his death, people would be calling, well, he owns this and he owns that. And it was just really neat to look back and see the traits that, are passed down, whether you realize them at such a young age or not, but you see the traits. It's cool.
That is so wonderful.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Now, you said you're from South Texas, and now you're living in Beaumont. So how long have you lived in Beaumont?
We've been here since 2000. My husband started his career in the nursing home industry. We've been married 24 years. Great human being. My boyfriend is what I call him. And we have 2 kids. And so that's what brought us here. His family was from Port Arthur. And so he had his grandparents living there, and he had the opportunity. He was doing nursing home cleanup, basically. He would come in and fix them up and then move about. And so that's how we ended up in Beaumont. And it's always felt like home to me. Just always felt like home, so much so that all my family from South Texas moved to the area.
Oh, wow.
So all my siblings are here. And
excellent.
Yeah.
Now, you just spoke about your husband. You and Eric have been married 24 years. Congratulations, because that's a big deal. What would you say, maybe it's a secret, maybe it's not, to the success of your marriage? 24 years.
Every day. Every day at work. Committing to it, and having that goal in mind of it's not just of today, it's of tomorrow, it's of 20 years, it's of 50 years. So just keeping that in mind, and commitment, discipline, and being mindful of each other, and not forgetting what brought us together.
Right. So how long did you guys date before y'all got married?
So we met the first day of transfer orientation at San Marcos. And we dated about 1.5 years, and then got engaged, and waited another 1.5 years for the wedding. And so first day of transfer orientation.
Wow. So do we have time for that story?
Maybe so. Maybe so.
So how did you know he was the one?
It took a while, because I was very particular. He calls it my code. I just had certain things that I was looking for, and some I was not going to budge with.
Good.
And I didn't.
Good.
And so he was just very, very supportive through all that time, and we just worked on building, our future, and took the time. Obviously 1.5 years, and waiting for the wedding and stuff like that. So, yeah, just. Good journey. Good journey.
Well, 24 years is amazing, because nowadays people barely last 24 hours when they get married. So congratulations to you and Eric.
Thank you.
Now, you and your husband have 2 kids, a boy and a girl. So what are the similarities with raising a boy and a girl, and what are the differences?
Oh boy. So our daughter is she's a wild one. She's a free spirit. She's just YOLO. all about YOLO, and I have to rein her back. Our boy seems to be calmer.
Okay.
He's a calmer and just, very methodical, thinks about things, and, just very methodical. So the similarities, I would say, you're natural, obviously, from, the parents. Our daughter is a go-getter. She's pretty vocal, and he is too, like just very focused on things. And the difference is obviously she's a daddy's little girl, and it's the truth. The boy just like wraps your heart.
Oh.
But she and I have a really good relationship. Now she's getting a little older and trying to, again, calm her down.
Yes.
Some stuff is like, keep in order, kid. But it's been a fun journey raising kids. It's been one of the biggest blessings. I, grew up, my father had 14 siblings, 12 that, are with him, were still around, and my mother 9, and so
huge family,
very big family. And so I think my shock and my response to that shock of all those people around all the time was like, you barely get 2 kids and that's it. But it's been a true blessing. When I started, when we first learned of our pregnancy, I was in shock. Because it's a big responsibility.
It's huge.
Raising a child and making
huge.
Sure they learn and you produce something that is going to be beneficial to the world. You feel the responsibility of that because they're going to impact it one way or the other.
Yes.
So,
it's a lifetime commitment and a job you can't just change and be like,
I quit.
I quit.
I can't do that.
You cannot do that.
No.
So what do you think, and I asked you this earlier about yourself, but what would you want the biggest takeaway that your kids can get from you and your husband, from the things that you have taught and imparted into them?
There's a lot of things that through life, generational things that I broke.
Okay.
My husband broke. So I would say that the discipline that we put together along our lives and the intentionality, everyone's direction, everyone's route's different. And I try to remember that because I am a driver, I am a doer, and so I expect everybody else to be.
Yes.
And, it doesn't always happen that way. And so, yes, I want them to be free, I want them to live their lives, but at the same time understand that, my husband and I sacrificed a lot to be able to give them the $10 life, not the $2 life.
Right.
And so if there's anything that they're going to need to take away is that they can't have the $10 life working at $2. It doesn't work.
Very good.
It doesn't work that way.
That's very good.
Life doesn't work like that. And so, we really push that. My friends would kid with me that my kids were the only ones that knew about ROIs and balance sheets at 3.
Yes.
So, just teaching them the responsibility. And of course, keeping your standard, God being the most critical piece. Are we perfect in that area? Not. We're not perfect humans at all. But do we strive for that? Yes, every single day. So take away the core pieces of it, of what makes you, that nothing else can break you. That's only from one direction. And of course, you have to live in this world. So to be a part of it, don't be a slave to the world. Don't be a slave to the people around you. Create your own environment and have the ability to stand on your own 2 feet. Because then it doesn't matter who's in the room.
It's true. It is true. Okay, so you and your husband own a business, Get Recovery. So tell us a little bit about that.
So it's a commercial asset recovery company, and that's a fancy word, fancy titles for a commercial repossession company.
Okay.
And so we started that again in Beaumont back in 2001, and have been operating it ever since, and worked throughout the country, and we've met some amazing individuals through our life in the business, and he still does that, and is able to be selective with his projects. And again, when you're paying attention, and all I can say is God's blessings, you're able to set forth a road that'll sustain you and change your future. So we started dabbling in real estate and just being mindful of all of the financial blessings and making them very intentional on what they were going to do for us, for our future.
Very good. Now, you stated that you and your husband started that business in Beaumont, but it is now a national company. How were you able to do that? And and I'm going to say, I know it's not. It seems like it was overnight.
Right. Everything seems overnight. People don't realize the time and effort that it takes. And going back to the immediate gratification, everybody expects yesterday, 10 days ago.
Yes.
So I was in logistics when I started my healthcare career. And that's what brought me to Baptist Hospital.
Okay.
And materials management, logistics, all their contracts. And I just used those skills. And, if you want to make it, you got to hustle. And you figure it out along the way. There's no perfect plan. I could sit here and say do A through Z, and it's not going to work for you because you're not facing the same circumstances. The biggest advice I would have to give is remain flexible. You want to be a flexible tree, not a breakable tree. So be flexible and be mindful of the opportunities that are presented to you, because I think a lot of times we just, that's not for me because you're scared or whatever the circumstances. I just don't operate with that.
Okay.
I don't.
And what is the goal? Or did you and your husband sit down and say, okay, we're going to have this company. What is our goal through this company?
It's changed.
Okay.
Originally, of course, you want to keep a company for 1,000 years, and you want every future generation to be a part of it. In some instances, that's reality. In some, it's not. So I would say our main goal was just, my whole family was employed through that company, and they were able to change their whole future, their whole life.
Yes.
And so, just giving exposure to different individuals along the way, opportunities. And for our kids, it's available if that's what they choose to go with. We're pushing them in whatever direction they want to go in, but certainly trying to keep them smart in what their choices are going to be.
Okay.
This company has provided us a lot of flexibility, a lot of freedom, a lot of opportunities, and you want the same for your future. So
right.
I don't put an end date. He does.
Absolutely.
I don't set end dates.
I love it. I love it. Now, you are a part of a lot of organizations here in Southeast Texas. One of the ones that you are a part of is Southeast Texas. Nope. Is it called? No, it's Golden Triangle Republican Women. Excuse me. So what does that organization do?
So it's actually the biggest group of women, Republican women in the state of Texas.
Is it?
Right here in Beaumont, Texas.
I did not know that.
It's the biggest.
Wow.
And they've held that title for a few years now. Amazing group of individuals, and they're on a mission. They're on a mission to stay with what is true and what is good for the overall population of our area. They bring great speakers, people that are going to make you say, yeah, I may need to think about that. So it's real challenging. It helps you just step out of your comfort zone and just learn. I'm all about learning. You can learn from anything and everyone.
It's true.
I'm all about that. And you may not agree with it. Fine, whatever. Doesn't matter to me. But you learn. And then that's how you build what's going to come for your future. And those nuggets stay with you. And you can use them at some point or another. And just learning to engage with other people. You've got to understand the other side. So, yeah, I'm a conservative human being. That's where I align. But I don't sit there and just watch Fox News every day.
Okay.
Very versatile. Very, I pick up whatever's on, just learn.
Right.
Because there's things I'm going to miss. And not one party isn't, we're human beings.
Yes.
At the end, we're human beings, and we forget that. And we want to just label people, and that's just not fair.
Now, you are also on the board of the Southeast Texas Workforce Solutions. So tell us, what does that organization do? Well, it's a company, so what does that company do?
So basically, it's your local office from the state.
Okay.
And they're responsible for organizing different programs for the community and placing people to work. So if you don't have the skills, they have great programs. They will help you write your resume.
Wow, okay.
They will help you with internships. And we just had one of the biggest job fairs since, COVID obviously affected a lot of that. But we had about 3,400 students at Ford Park.
Wow.
And I can't recall exact number of schools that participated and vendors, different sponsors, different companies, just exposing our community, our youth to what's available. People don't realize that, you have Exxon, you have Lamar, all the different programs that they have access to, and no need for you to be sitting at home trying to figure out what you can do.
Right. Or
Go get out.
that you don't have
Get
a job. Yeah. Or you can't find a job. Right.
So,
now, the division in Orange, Texas, the Southeast Texas Workforce Solutions, just received a massive donation from Golden Triangle Polymers, $400,000 for the establishment of the Local First program. First of all, congratulations on $400,000 donation. That's awesome. But what is the Local First program, and how is that going to benefit the citizens of Orange, Texas?
So I'm going to start off by saying that our board staff is amazing. They have been with the local office for years, and they know the needs of our community and building the relationships with all these different entities.
Okay.
So I believe Orange, for that program, again, it's for internships, getting these young adults exposed to the industry. We're privileged to be in an area that can survive any economic status in the country because of what we're in. So that's another opportunity for our youth to get out and learn a skill. And learn what interests them and just build off of that. We're fortunate these companies give us so much. They give us so much. And you go to these different meetings and, everybody's saying, where's the staff? Where's our staff? We don't have anybody to hire. And I'm like, why do we have that gap? And so these companies are stepping up and saying, we're going to change this. We're going to change it. And
now, the internships, the resume writing, the job help, are these services free to the community? Absolutely free.
They're free. And, just having one of the challenges also that I hear about is that our youth do not have the skill set for your standard, answering the telephone, greeting someone, your basic skills that people have just overlooked or, maybe not exposed to. And so all of that stuff is provided for free.
Okay.
Through the Workforce Commission.
For free.
Our local office.
So you have no excuse if you're looking for a job.
None. And if you are worried about something, need to learn something, they have access to everything. So.
Wonderful. Now, you are known, which is a great way to be known, for service in the community, just volunteering and helping out. Who planted that seed in you? No one?
I don't know. I don't know where that came from. I've always been about giving and helping, so that's just what's been at the core of me.
Okay.
I can't think of any. I just evaluate my environment and what's needing, and so try to fill that gap. I'm sure it's someone, but I can't think of who. I don't know.
Okay.
Everybody along the way, actually. That's all I can say.
So why is serving and volunteering so important to you?
I do not believe in being stagnant.
Okay.
You stand in stagnant water for too long, you start to rot. To keep that as civil as possible. I believe in closing the gap, and you're only going to be as good as your weakest link. We hear that everywhere all the time. And so that was one of the really neat things that I experienced during my campaign, being out in the community in areas that most Republicans never went to.
Okay.
I didn't see it as a Republican or Democrat home. I saw it as a home. And so I was able to make some wonderful relationships along the way and just learn about the struggles that different individuals are experiencing. And so I want to use what I've learned and connect those dots and use all of that service, and that's why I do it.
Okay.
That's why I do it.
Do you think, or maybe this is they already do you think your children will pick up the love and the passion for service that you have?
I hope so. I mean, I grew up seeing my grandfather do amazing braiding, with leather straps. I kick myself for not having sat there and learned that, at that age, and not, having picked that up. you hope that they're watching. Everybody says your kids are watching more than they listen. So I'm hoping that they will value that. Our daughter is served in different environments, and she's currently working as an intern at the port.
Okay.
And so having an opportunity to help around the community. So I just need to watch. I'm hoping that they will pick that up. I mean, we expose them to as much as possible. So.
Okay. So not only do you have a passion for service and volunteering, you also have a passion for youth. Why is that? Most people just kind of throw their hands up with the youth. They're exasperated with them.
Because I know how limited my opportunities were.
As a youth? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. So with that passion and just, with the youth in mind, how can we as a community prepare our youth for the future?
So I've been having this conversation with numerous leaders in the community.
Okay.
Everyone is, you have all these different organizations, and they all mean so well. And I, acknowledge their efforts.
Okay.
But they're all going to learn to teach the kids to read. But the kids still can't read. It's broken.
Okay.
So one of the messages that I've been sharing here lately with, the various organizations I've been visiting with is we're all exhausting ourselves.
Okay.
Yet we're still not getting anywhere. So what about all these groups deciding, this group is going to focus on reading. This group is going to focus on teaching them personal development skills. This group's going to help with the math or whatever. The kids are missing so much in our community. And I know we can't fix everything. We can't go to their home and fix their home life. I get it.
Right.
I get it. But the little nuggets that we're able to just drop along the way and hope they stick. We have to do something. The youth it's damaged. Very, very damaged. And it's our generation that's caused a lot of that.
Wow, someone said it out loud.
Broken homes. If you don't have that stable home,
right,
and it goes back to the marriage. Do I marry someone I just met 20 minutes ago, or do I take the time? And I know that circumstances are everywhere, the extreme of either end. But if you want to change the future, you got to change.
Right. And that leads perfectly into my next question. So it is just acknowledged that the youth are missing out on so many things, but also the youth are involved in violence so much. So whose responsibility is it? And of course, I know you're no expert. I just want your opinion and your thoughts. Whose responsibility is it to help with filling in the gaps of the youth, helping deter violence? Is it the parents, the guardians? Is it the schools? Is it the community? Is it our elected officials? Whose responsibility is it?
I said it earlier with regards to the immigrants, and I'll say it again. The home is your responsibility. Okay. Those kids are your job. And so if you're not going to take your job seriously, find another job.
Oh. Okay.
Not the kids.
Yeah.
Don't put them in that position to ruin, not only your life. I mean, I'm sure as a mother, you're going to hurt when your kid is in those circumstances.
Right.
And I can't imagine any mother wanting that for their children. So I would say that that's the first row. You have a lot of pastors in this community. Why do we have so many pastors yet so many broken kids?
That's a great question.
I posed it several times. I can't get an answer.
Okay.
And of course, yes, it takes a village, right? I think it was Hillary Clinton who said that. And so, yes, I will sit here and fill the gap, but I can't fill it all.
Okay.
So and again, maybe that's idealistic, but let's get the homes right. Let's get the pastors who are preaching and giving the foundation, and then let the others, corral the rest of it. And it's doable. But, when you don't have any structured and everybody's on their own little mission or accolade, chasing, then what are you going to get? What are you going to get to?
Right.
And, I'm very practical. I'm very it is what it is. I don't like fluffing a lot of stuff. And so, that may hurt some feelings. I don't know, but call me.
Yeah.
Call me.
So you spoke about having a mentor, I guess in college. Was it in college? Okay.
High school.
High school. Like, so if a child or youth wants a mentor, not saying it should be you, but how do they go about getting a mentor, someone that's going to walk them through difficulties in life, difficulties in work or school?
So I was fortunate. I can say I remember that one specific mentor, but I've had them all along the way, whether I recognized it or not. They were there.
Okay.
I've had them all along my life. And it is our responsibility when you see someone who's struggling. You know, I'm going to be hosting a student from BISD who starts doing an internship on Thursday.
Okay.
All along the way, you know, I try to, again, just give out what I know. And those that want it, I will continue to give to. Those that don't, okay. You know, they'll eventually come around because we all need something.
Right.
We all need something at one point or another. And if they remember that one little thing from me, great. And so we have a responsibility as a community, and I said this earlier, we're only as strong as our weakest link. And if we're not going to pay attention, we're going to be a disaster. We're going to be a disaster. And so if every one of us in this room sat and looked about and said, hey, I'm going to help here, I'm going to help there, and I mean, geez, we're so skilled.
Yes.
We're so skilled.
Yes.
One way or the other. I'm kind of sad, you know, you go to a lot of these schools, and even our son, he's 13, and I'm like, man, nobody does construction anymore. They don't do any of those trades. Right. What a lost art. That is a piece of art.
It is.
And I know they focused on other stuff around the area, but, you know, your construction pieces of it at school, and just having that interaction. Our boy plays baseball. Not every kid has that exposure. So what is happening to those children?
Right.
I know I was one of those. If I wouldn't have been involved as a young child in a piano class at church or wherever, I wouldn't have had those mentors. I wouldn't have had those people drop those nuggets along the way in my life to get me to where I am today. And so, you know, it takes some personal involvement and parents pushing their kids out. Because you know, it's hard for kids sometimes. They, you know, and adults too. You know, it's hard to get out of your comfort zone, but we have a responsibility to do that.
Now, still stand on the topic of youth. How can we? I know it's a necessity, but how can we get the youth more involved in politics, or at least to care more about politics? And I'm talking on the local level, the state level, and even the federal level.
I mean, I remember as a youth, I can't say that I was, you know, politics was not a big thing in my family.
Okay.
You know, being from Mexico, that was not a priority. And my husband, you know, ex-military, very involved, knew a lot of, you know, his business in the military and his exposure through that. And different culture really helped open my eyes about what was going on and the impact that we have as individuals. We don't think that pushing that button matters. And maybe in some instances it hasn't, because people, but remember, you vote them in, so whose fault is it? So I think, you know, just it's important to get involved in the politics, whichever side you're on, whichever you align with, but keep an open mind. When you're dealing with local offices, you can sit here and knock on my door. That's an open door.
Okay.
I don't think we can do that at the White House.
No.
The governor's mansion.
No.
Some of us may have access to them, but not all of us. But you can have access to my door at any time. So I would say that with the local politics, keep an open mind. One of the things that I did during the campaign is, my message was, I'm looking for smart voters. If you want to change what's here, if you're not happy with what's been, you gotta get to thinking. You gotta watch, pay attention. And not just, you know, for the latest and greatest, you know, party, you know, being hosted by someone, but watch them. And if you've watched them long enough, you can see who they are. And you should. You should do it.
So now we're going to turn into your elected office. You are, congratulations, the newest Jefferson County Clerk. Congratulations on that. Why did you run for an elected office, and specifically, why did you run for the clerk's office?
People force me.
Not the driver.
No. So this was not in the plans, and I've said this 1,000 times, and people take that very negatively, and it was not in the plans.
Okay.
Jesus and I had agreed I was going to be eating bonbons by the pool.
Okay.
And so he said, not yet, kiddo, not yet. And so a group of local leaders approached me about the position, and I couldn't kick it away.
Okay.
I mean, President Trump had just lost. The country was in utter chaos. It was just, everything was in question. It was very, very sensitive. And I was like, why do I want to put myself through that? Why would I want to go through that?
Yes.
And so no was going to be said, and yes came out.
Wow. Okay.
And so I'm like, okay, buddy, then you better make this an easy climb. I can't say it was an easy climb. It was the toughest year of my life.
Wow. Yeah, we're going to get into that. Wow. Okay, so for people who do not know or understand, tell us, what are the roles, the duties, the responsibilities of a county clerk?
People do not think this office is important. And I'm going to be passionate about this because we are. We're actually the office, just like I mentioned, the White House. You can't go and knock on the door and get through the door. You're going to come and see me before you go see Judge Braddock. Let's hope. Okay. You're going to come and see me before you go see, newly elected Gordon Freeze, our new judge there. Any one of these individuals that are here at the courthouse, hopefully you have that much interaction, with those individuals, DA, any one of these offices here, the treasurer. You're going to come see me because you have a real estate deed you need to file or a copy that you need. You have in some instances, some civil, court interaction there. So you'll come and see me for that, and hopefully it'll end on a good note for you. And let's see, what else do we have? We have, of course, the elections.
Okay.
Mail ballots. You have to request them from this office. The elections happen from this office. And so my office does a lot. It's a big, big responsibility. We handle marriage licenses. So when you come and get married, and I'm only giving one, so make sure you choose very wisely.
Yes.
That was my running joke. And so choose wisely and help change our community by raising your own kiddos.
Yes.
And so we do that. And of course we have birth certificates, the older birth certificates through 1966, if I recall correctly. And your wills happen here. So we have a lot of activity through this office. We are moving forward and trying to automate a lot of the processes so that people can sit at home and push the button like they do for everything else, the convenience everybody wants. But you're always welcome to come through the doors and come knock at my door and have a chat.
Absolutely.
Always welcome. Always welcome.
So now that you are the Jefferson County Clerk, what is your intention for this office?
It's a big job. Running about 4 departments. So my intention is to modernize it, bring it all up to date, make it efficient. The staff, we've been privileged to have staff here for over 16 years. And that's amazing. People don't do that anymore.
No one stays.
No one stays. And I've received the biggest compliments from a lot of the individuals that have been here this long, and just saying that we're moving in the right direction. And nothing warms my heart more than hearing that from the people that I see every single day that are now understanding the purpose of their job, and they see how they impact the community, where maybe they didn't realize what their actions caused or resulted with. So that's been one of the biggest compliments, and I modernizing it, bringing it up to date, and just keeping a good, fun environment so that when people walk through the doors and need something, they're treated with the utmost respect and welcomed, because we are a service office. So making sure that's the focus. Elections, I want people to be comfortable to show up and push the button. I know there's circumstances that, circumstances that come up I have no intent of keeping anyone from voting. I have no intent in changing any results. I want your vote, your voice to matter. And I want you to be 100,000% comfortable in knowing that it matters, because I realize the sacrifices that were made. Women were the last to have the privilege.
They were. They absolutely were.
And that just happened.
It did.
It just happened. So I understand the sacrifices along the way for that piece. And if I could get our community involved, and again, intelligent community, because we want to move forward, we want to progress, and not to affect any individual. We want the best candidates out there.
Absolutely.
We want the best. And you deserve the best. So demand the best. So.
Now, you were voted in November the 4th, 2022. And when I say you received 57% of the vote for Jefferson County Clerk, how does that make you feel? That's a
Was it the 4th or the 8th? I can't remember. I don't remember. Was it? I don't remember. But yeah, it was a wild day.
Yes.
You know, everybody said, well, the race is going to be close. It's going to be
Okay.
really close. And I couldn't stand that.
Ugh.
Couldn't stand it. It just drove me crazy hearing that. But I was like, all right, y'all are the pros. Y'all know. Fine. Whatever. And I just hustled. I was like, it's not going to be close. I'm going to show you it's not going to be close. And so, pretty determined individual. And I just really honestly felt blessed that people felt that I was the right choice to move us forward. Carolyn Guidry had been here for 16 years.
Yes.
And big shoes to fill with her experience and her knowledge base. But we all start the same. And so, you know, it's a little intimidating because I know people are expecting me to fill those shoes. And my self-expectation, I expected to have 20 years the first day. And, you know, not reality. But to have everybody sit here and just trust in me and believe in me and show up to support me through election day was just the biggest honor. It was really a big honor.
Excellent.
And I take a huge level of responsibility on my shoulders and honoring that, valuing that.
Excellent. Now, you made history when you were elected as Jefferson County Clerk. How does that make you feel as the first Hispanic woman to hold the office? How does that make you feel?
Well, I've been asked that question, and yes, Hispanic is a great, you know, that's who I am. That's my root. But more importantly, the qualified. I'm going to say I was the most qualified, and I'm going to take that one. That one means more to me than any of the other titles. I never really ran with titles other than I know where I came from. I know where I belong. And that's the only title that I'll claim. The rest of it, you entrusted me to do a job, and that's what I'm going to do. So that's the one that matters the most. And as we move forward, you know, in the next few years, I'm looking forward to the interaction and learning from the people that said, yeah, you're the one, and making them feel like they made the right choice.
Okay. Since you are an elected official now, officially, do you consider yourself a politician?
I don't know what that means. People keep asking me, they're like, well, do you understand what this title means and the power? And I'm like, what are you talking about? I still feel like a little girl walking through the doors, honestly.
Right.
And, I'm giddy and I'm excited and I'm nervous and I'm scared. And, I'm kind of all over the place. And then I'm like, I did this. I can do this. I can do this. But, it's just... No, I do not consider myself a politician. I do not. And I'm going to mess up, and I'm going to say the wrong stuff, and I'm going to minimize all the wrong things, of course. But I'm human. And one thing I've asked since I won is for grace. Because I'm human, and I'm a mother, I'm a wife, and I'm trying to balance it all and still be out in the community because I love what got me here today. But I have to figure out my new life and balancing it all out and serving well. So no, I don't know what the politician. I don't know what that. No. Can't own it. Yeah.
Well, another person who probably doesn't consider himself a politician, Joe Evans Jr.
Yeah.
He is the Jefferson County Republican chair, and he actually nominated you to be on the show. How has he helped and supported you during your campaign? and how does he continue to do that now in your role?
So I met Joe before all of this took off, and he was not very helpful. When we first met, he was like, "You do not want me to help you. You do not want my, my frenemies, And so, but along the way, and as we moved forward, we became a really good team, a really good working team, and just to have people that have the right intentions and the pure intentions for our community and willing to work and sacrifice so hard is just really a blessing. Can you imagine if all of us did that? If we all did that? And I know that you typically have the 20% that do everything. But if we all did that, the 20%, even if you just had the 20% moving in the same direction, moving with the same mission,
you could change the world.
Well, you change the world. I think so. But one of the things that I saw in Joe, and really going back to the Republican women, GTRW and the ladies from Mid-County, Spindletop, I couldn't have done it without them. They were my wings, because there were days that were tough. This was all new to me. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what to say sometimes. And, constantly, well, you can't say that, you can't do that, you can't. And I'm like, this is who I am. You're just going to have to take, this is what I am. I have no bad intents, but this is who I am. And so just learning through all of that and just having somebody he'd run for office before and obviously holding the chair position, had a lot of access to a lot of resources. And so he was very, very helpful. Consider him a brother.
Oh, good. So we're going to kind of backtrack a little bit and talk about your campaign. So tell us a little bit about, it was 1 year, you stated earlier, your 1 year experience running, and campaigning for this office.
When I said, all right, we're going to do this, like everything in my life, and you want to succeed, it's going to take work. And so I evaluated my weaknesses, I evaluated my strengths, and I evaluated all my opportunities. And so you don't know where life is going to take you, and that is the biggest adventure. It's scary, I'm going to say, because I'm a planner. I like to know what's going to happen tomorrow, and this was way out of my league. It took me way out of my comfort zone, and as I get a little teary-eyed when you asked earlier about, it was the toughest year. I went through the toughest period of time, just self-evaluating and God just purging and cleansing me and just making me strong. And you can't understand it when you're in that dark space, in that very just tumultuous spot, as he's doing his thing with you. But man, when you come out on the other side and you experience some of these things, and it's like water off a duck.
Wow.
Like you just, like no scarring.
Yes.
Like it's just amazing to see that. So that was one of my biggest takeaways from the campaign, going through that as hard as it was. And if you want to be better, you're going to have to purge. You're going to have to clean yourself out of whatever it isn't working and isn't benefiting you. That's part of the process. And when you let him do it, it's going to be a little better. Getting out with the community and visiting with people in the North End, people in the South End, people in the West End, people in Mid-County and Porter. I mean, we were places that no one ever touched. And I loved every piece of it. Meeting everybody, some would shut the door in my face.
Wow.
Because I was showing up with a Republican tag. Others were very open-minded. And that's why I ended up with the results that I did. And I challenged them. I'm like, if you're not happy, why are you going to keep going up to the same restaurant?
And
why are you going to show up to the same place, getting the same meal that you're not happy with? And so it was a fun experience. It's a fun experience. And, all my little, you have to have consultants because I didn't know what I was doing. That's my first time. And that helped a lot. I picked some amazing individuals. And that's the thing, you got to surround yourself with good people that are going to lift you up. And there were days that I'm like, I can't do this. Like, this is not, you want me to give a speech? I'm not going to do that. And just different things that really push you out of your comfort zone, and you just find it. And then, finding that and pushing through it, it's pretty awesome.
Good. Now, during your campaign, one of the bright spots or glorious spots, you received the endorsements of the Hispanic Republicans of Texas.
Mm-hmm.
So do you find that more Hispanics are becoming Republicans? Have they always been Republicans and we're just now noticing?
So we didn't grow up with the whole voting thing and you know, the importance of it. I think a lot of individuals just followed the crowd and didn't really pay attention.
Okay.
There's some that are a little more, you know, you have your extremes anywhere you go. But I'm going to say that many didn't pay attention, and now they're opening their eyes and really looking for the truth. They know who they are, they know what they believe in, and it aligns more on the conservative Republican side.
Okay. So why do you think that? Why do you think that more Hispanics are becoming actual registered Republicans over registered Democrats?
That baffled me, especially being from South Texas. That was a predominantly Democrat area.
Right.
And you think, well, okay, if it's a Democrat-led community, it's because of the resources that are being provided to them. And Hispanics being more on the low economic, very much like, you know, the black community, being on the lower economic society, they need those. But they also realize the price that comes with it. And they're hardworking people. They don't want to be tied down to, you're only going to get $500 a month because if you get any more, then you're going to lose all your benefits and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So I think they realize that, you know, working and using their skills, and again, they're hardworking individuals, and they don't want to be beholden to any government.
Okay. Now, we touched on this a little bit earlier, but this office was previously held by Carolyn Guidry for 20 plus years.
16-ish.
16? Okay. She was a Democrat for this office. So why do you think people just completely pivoted from Democratic to a Republican holding this office in Jefferson County?
What I heard, they wanted something different. It was time for something different. They were ready for it, ready for something different, and a lot, they believed in what I was going to deliver.
Okay.
So I carry that on my shoulders every day, making sure I deliver what I said. And, you know, I have a lot of people that put themselves out there for me, and very, very vocally. And so people were ready for a change. They were ready for something different, and they wanted to see what I was going to do.
Okay. So with 57% of the vote, clearly you had Democrats that voted outside of their normal party to vote for you as a Republican. Why do you think they did that, and how were you able, for lack of a better word, to convince some Democrats to vote outside of their party and vote for you as a Republican?
You want my secrets? You want my secrets?
If you want to tell me.
I know, right? Yeah, I'll tell you. No, you don't know what tomorrow's going to bring.
Okay.
That's all I can tell you. I'm not a native of this community. I do not have uncles and aunts and grandmas, and I don't have any of that.
Okay.
I'm the first generation Beaumonter, you know, Jefferson County or whatever we're going to call me. First generation. And along the way, I have developed relationships in the service that I've done. And to be honest, like, I could look back at my life and just see today. I could see how that led to this and this led to that. And yesterday led to today.
Okay.
I can see it all. And so it's very important to have good relationships with individuals. It's very important to, you know, keep a good reputation. It's very important to just get involved and get engaged, because you don't know where your life's going to take you. You don't know. Never. I mean, again, I never thought I'd be sitting here today. Never.
And interviewing with me.
I know the privilege of that. But I think people were just, you know, they knew who I was. Okay. They've known who I am for years. It wasn't something that I just showed up and said, please vote for me. I couldn't stand that. Okay. And that was one of the things that going through the process is visiting with people and letting them know who I really was. And hey, said, challenge me. If you don't believe me, here you go.
Very
challenge
bold.
me.
Very bold. Now, as the Jefferson County Clerk, again, congratulations on that. Can you give me one, maybe two specific things that you're going to do to improve the voting process in Jefferson County?
So we've already started. Mail-in ballots were always transported to the barn.
Okay.
If people don't know where the barn is, mid-county area, we are consolidating that process here. So we started building out an area. All the ballots are mailed here, and it just made sense to keep them under this purview until they had to be transported at the end of election day to the barn where everything is taken care of.
Okay.
So we have that. This will be my first election for the political subdivisions coming up in April, end of April, in May. And, you know, it sped up pretty quickly, but just using the resources that I established through the campaign and getting the message out and hoping that people can see the true intentions of this office, and that is to have you use your right to vote. Okay. If you are legally able, vote. The level of disconnect is really sad, because then you need something and it's too late because the right person isn't there, you know, whatever the circumstances. It's important. You need to show up to vote, and I would like to do a little more community involvement, education. As far as, you know, the equipment was rather new. We had some challenges in November, but, you know, they've had enough time for exposure. The equipment's all going to be here starting April 5th when we do our first training. Everyone is welcome to come and, you know, partake in that if you want to practice more. You cannot leave the polling location with your ballot.
Okay.
Do not leave the polling location with your ballot. Make sure you drop it in the scanner. If you're walking out with any piece of paper, you did not vote.
Okay.
So if there's any message that I can push, it is that I've been receiving a lot of invitations to go visit with individuals and just walk them through the process and just educate them. You know, elections are real sensitive.
Very.
Very, very sensitive. I'm going to do the best I can, plus some, and to just minimize any of the chaos. Anything that could be perceived as chaos.
Right. So that really leads directly into my next question. So over the past decades, and I'm sure, you know, longer than that, scholars have shown that in many ways voting rules have made voting participation for African Americans and other people of color very difficult. How can you, in your role now, how can African Americans and people of color help you in your role to stop things like that?
I don't understand what difficult means.
Okay.
What is difficult?
For example, like the long lines on voting election, or the voter ID rules, or perhaps the times, like for early voting, the times that they have set for voting.
I had to campaign, finishing the campaign and doing early voting for 2 weeks. There's a lot of time. We're privileged with a lot of time. You know, a lot of us procrastinate. We know that happens. Voter ID, or, you know, having an ID, you need an ID for everything. You can't get on a plane without an ID. You can't go to the bank and ask them for $1 million without your ID. You can't get a drink without an ID. So I don't understand what the big deal is with the ID.
Okay.
Show up with your ID. It makes it so much easier. There are other ways to vote if you do not have your ID, but if you have your ID, show up with the ID. Okay. Let's make it pretty easy for yourself and us.
Okay.
It just avoids the longevity of the process. The long voter lines, we have a lot of locations to vote at.
Okay.
We have a lot. And we actually have many that are not utilized. And so everybody loves Rogers Park. They love going there. They don't care how long the line is. We will sit there and say, hey, BISD is available, no one's there. Amelia is available, no one is there. Blah, blah, blah. You give them options, and some people find that insulting.
Okay.
And so I don't know where to win with that.
Okay.
You know, and I sat there through, you know, my campaign watching all of this happen. You can vote at a lot of places.
Okay.
We have a lot of spots for you to vote. The mayoral election coming up, you have 4 spots early voting. It's a week and 2 days. Election day is on May 6th. I know that I helped, you know, the last campaign, an individual making phone calls. People are just,
Okay.
So let's focus on that part.
Okay.
Because there's no stopping you from voting. There's no stopping you from access. Again, show up with the ID. Makes it so much easier. There are a lot of locations. No one is suggesting that you go anywhere else because they don't want you at Rogers Park or whatever. It is simply for your ease. And if you have any suggestions, I mean, again, we have a lot of polling places that are hardly used.
Okay.
And that, to me, you know, looking at the resources, so focusing on what I'm going to be doing is evaluating a lot of the costs that we incur in this office, because we only have 5 people in the election department.
Wow.
And we make that happen.
Okay.
We make that happen. We hire individuals to do the clerk jobs and the judge jobs, and they'll show up early voting, and we couldn't do the job without them, of course. But we have 5 people in that office that make it all happen. That's pretty amazing.
That is amazing.
I mean, you have communities that have a lot of people. And so for, you know, our population, they do a really good job. And, you know, it's my intent moving forward. This is an open door. If you have a concern, if you have any questions, I'll give you my cell phone. Share it.
Okay. Absolutely. Another bold move.
I know.
So where you are in your life, in your career, family, everything, can you look back and tell me, what do you think is your biggest success and what did you learn from that? And then to piggyback on that, what is your biggest failure and what did you learn from that?
Biggest success being, I'll take this one to the ethnic,
Okay.
the Hispanic value family. I do value my family, my parents, my siblings, my husband, our kids. So, you know, and all the others that come along with. My friends. I have great friends. And just people. I love people. I really do love people. So I'd say the biggest success in my life has been, the family unity has been the biggest. All this other stuff, it comes and goes. My dear mentor, Allison.
Okay.
We know that her condition is very sensitive right now. And so, you know, you look at life very differently when you're that close. And, you know, take care of your family.
Yeah.
Take care of your family. That's my biggest success. You know, being able to say I've been married 24 years to a great human, a great man.
Success.
And, you know, my kids doing well. Although I'm going to tell you, just like a lot of families, my teenager gave me a run for my money. Our daughter gave me a run for my money and really challenged. But you get to grow from that. You really get to grow as you know, and that's what God, you know, that's how He put it together. I begged Him, I'm like, please, like, settle this down. Settle it down. Just a tad bit. But, and weaknesses, or my
failure.
biggest failure. You know, and it's going to sound kind of like everybody else. I use the failures to stomp on, to move on somewhere else.
Okay.
We're all going to have them.
Right.
But it's what you do with them that's going to matter. And I don't know. I mean, I'm sure I've had them along my way. I just, being an anticipator helps minimize a lot of those. But I can't think of any, like, specific thing. Been very intentional with my life.
Okay.
Been very intentional.
Good. Okay, so now we're going to pivot to a funner part of the interview. We're going to do some quick hitters. So with this, just the first thing that pops into your mind is your answer.
All right.
Okay, so what is your favorite food?
Everything.
Okay.
I'm not, except frogs. No frog legs. No, thank you.
I didn't know there was an option.
Yeah, no frog legs. No, thank you.
Okay, that's definitely a Southeast Texas thing.
Yeah, okay,
Definitely.
no.
Okay, 5 dinner guests, dead or alive. Who would you invite?
How many?
5.
Oh gosh, that's a lot. Dinner guests. My home is full with people all the time.
Okay.
Open door. To say 5, good grief.
Yes.
Let's see, along the way. I don't know, that's a tough one. That's a hard one to answer.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, that's a hard one.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
There's too
You can
many
think
people.
about it. We can come back
Okay,
if you want
I'll
to.
think. Okay.
So, if you have time, what are you watching on TV, on Netflix, on Prime? Are you binging anything right now?
I keep up with the news, obviously,
Okay.
for obvious reasons. So I do keep up with that, what's going on in the nation. Our local, very important to me, and just knowing what the temperature is in the community. But to watch just kind of Young and the Restless, it's been a while though, because been busy. And just kind of just funny shows, whatever's funny. I like to laugh, and because I get pretty serious. I've had to learn not to be so serious.
Okay.
And so I have to back that off. So that would be a kind of a, so I have to back that off and just enjoy life, live life.
Okay. Now, was that something you learned during the campaign?
No, I learned it a few years ago from a dear friend who was very fun. And I was in my career, and I was, had to be successful and focus. And she just was, woo, and older than I. But it just helped me see life differently. And so that's why it's important to keep people around you. And you don't know how they're going to influence you. And if you're paying attention, you'll see it. And it's pretty neat because, it's just a pretty cool life experience.
Okay. I'm not asking you for your age, but what has been your favorite age so far and why?
I don't keep up with my age. I just know what year I was born.
Okay.
75.
Okay.
And I don't worry about it. I don't care. My best?
Yeah. Or your
Today.
favorite? What's been your favorite? Today? Yeah. Okay.
Today.
Very good. Now, if you could have one piece of advice on a billboard for everyone to see, what would it say?
Oh, God, grief. These are tough. I thought you were going to be easy with these.
I thought these were easy.
Oh, gosh. So, be intentional with your life,
Okay.
but enjoy it as you go through it. Enjoy it. It's when you're young, it seems like, oh my gosh, it's going to take forever for me to get to 50. It's not like that. It's it seems like it's ticking really slow as you're going, but it goes fast. So be intentional, but enjoy the process.
That's a good one.
So one thing my husband and I practiced with our business is we would work really hard for 3 months
Okay.
and then shut down.
Okay.
And so we were able to do that every few months, and then shut down and take a break and regroup. And so I think that helped us with a lot of the success along the way.
Very good. Okay, and my final question is, who do you think would make a great guest on this show, but you have to help me get them on?
So you just met him.
Yes.
You're reacquainted with your friend, Vern. I think he would be an amazing individual to sit with. He has really influenced and changed the Black community that he has been a part of. And he's just a good man. Him and his wife, I hold in high regard. Met him playing piano with our daughter years ago, and going back to the relationships that you don't know how they're going to flourish. He's seen me for a long time. He's watched me for a long time.
Wow.
And that's why he's able to sit in my office and say, I believe in you. So that's been the biggest, that's been a fun thing to watch.
Well, excellent.
You're very, very right.
Yes.
But no, it's been a privilege, and I can't wait to see what you do with this.
Yes.
But no, thank you guys. It's great to be able to get a message out in its entirety, and just share from my heart and who I am. Thank you.